The seminary I attended in Rome has this meaningful tradition which is employed at the end of a man's time there. He's been ordained a transitional deacon and will soon return home to be ordained a priest. So it goes something like this, but fortunately, we have our own seminarian here, Drew Stanley. Welcome back. So if he were to proceed in this way and ordained a deacon, it would sound something like this little traditional ritual at the very end. It just goes briefly. Andrew Stanley, sent to preach the gospel in the Archdiocese of Kansas City in Kansas. The man stands up, and the people applaud. He probably gets some sort of recognition, and then on he goes. It's an impactful way of showing the connection between the days we heard of in the first reading and today. The mission begun by Christ then is the same mission we're involved in now. The Acts of the Apostles uses various stories and descriptions to underscore that it's not just the apostles' mission, but all of Christ's disciples are involved. Right? It's not just bishops and priests with the responsibility to proclaim the gospel, but every follower of Jesus has a responsibility. Now, one of my favorite ways that this is shown is just by a simple description that's given of the earliest Christian community. One of their chief characteristics is that they had fellowship with the apostles. Now, my mind goes naturally to that wonderful book by Tolkien, of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings, and what is it about? Well, it's this ring of evil, ring of power, I should say, that no one can wear without wreaking havoc on the world, destroying things, and himself or herself. And so all the known races of Middle-earth come together to decide what should be done. And they decide the only option is to destroy the ring, which is what forms their fellowship. But then as that mission is played out, one after another fall away because of egoism, a preoccupation with power, and such. And so their fellowship falls apart when the common mission is no longer held. A core quality of the followers of Jesus is fellowship with the apostles. That mission which was entrusted to them, which comes out of that last line of the gospel. How are you to know that this person is a follower of Jesus? Well, if they love as Christ has loved us. That's the binding force. That's the common mission. And when that falls apart, well, the fellowship does too. But being part of this common mission is easy to lose sight of in the day-to-day work of our lives. It's been kind of funny around the election of the new pope. People have been asking me what I think. You were in Chicago, right? Do you know him? What do you know of him? What do you think of him? I've found myself saying, I'm just a lowly parish priest. I have no knowledge of those high ecclesiastical offices or happenings. Ask me about septic systems, roof drains, and turning lanes, and I can help you. Even those things, even that kind of work is part of the proclamation of the gospel. I've thought of that when I've been out at the school, seeing all these workers. You've probably seen them if you've driven by. They may not even believe in Christ, I don't know, but look at the number of people who are involved in his mission, working for the furtherance of the gospel. It's even in those things, but that kind of work, it is the proclamation of the gospel, but it's easy to lose sight of the connections with the gospel. I've also felt that with the same renovation project. So many details involved, so many meetings involved. And when you're doing a renovation project, you probably know from any home renovation, it's always bigger, harder, and costlier than you would ever have imagined at the beginning. And so over the weeks, that's kind of been piling up on my shoulders. I've kind of been losing sight just a little bit of that connection with the mission. But occasionally there are clear glimpses of the mission of which you and we are a part, as well as its graces and fruits. I noticed this just last night. A couple of young families from the parish invited me over to dinner to one of their homes, and we were talking about all sorts of things, the little kids, and they're asking about the teachers that we've hired, want to know more about them, and about how the renovation is going, and I shared with them, and then I probably didn't think this totally through before I offered it, but I said, well, do you want to go take a look? I said, wait. Don't let your kids touch any of those bare wires that you see when you don't do that. So we did. We walked through, and all of a sudden you see, wow, there's a future here. All the details, all the behind-the-scenes work. Oh, my goodness. You see the parents awed and amazed at what's coming together, and the children who know each other from Mass are then in their rooms looking at the classroom that they're going to have and playing with one another. It's precious. It's the fruit of the proclamation of the gospel. Friends, we are involved in that great mission, which began with the apostles, but has continued down the centuries by people like you, who've made the sacrifices and done the hard work that's often behind the scenes out of love for Jesus Christ and your neighbors, so that the gospel might be proclaimed. In this case, yes, especially for the children and their families who've been entrusted to our care. Never lose sight of the connection with the mission and the good that God is doing with you.